Well, here we are. It's June 6th. It's Friday, and this is the weekly video. We do these each week. Take a look at the Asian art market, the textiles and carpets, a bit about furniture and so forth, things that are going on, sales that are coming up, sales that have passed, and whatever else seems interesting, I guess, is what it amounts to. And thank you for those of you who looked at the video we put up yesterday about my thoughts on why it's important to collect art and antiques. I hope you take a look at it and share your thoughts on it. It's a very important thing to me. It always has been, and I judge by some of the comments that a lot of you feel the same way. So maybe we're all on the same page. That's a nice thing. All right. What else is going on? Not a heck of a lot. Then there's the Sotheby's sale coming up in a few days, as we talked about a few weeks ago. So do remember to check in on that. That's the sale over in Paris, and a bunch of sales have taken place this week, and a couple of good sales have popped up in the last week that we're going to talk about. There's one that is coming up very soon. That's the Rob Michael sale. We're going to go through a few of the lots there, and Freeman Hindman's got a nice sale coming up on the 28th, and we're going to talk about that a bit, and we'll do a deep dive into that, probably do a deeper dive into that sale at the beginning of next week, maybe tomorrow if I have the time. I'd like to talk about it. It's an interesting auction. In Stair Gallery, again, they seem to have a some really good sources of things, and they've got a 3-day sale coming up from one collection that's very interesting, and there's some very rare Chinese and good Chinese pieces in that sale, so we'll talk about those also, and a massive Japanese silver punch bowl that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. I think it's 18 or 19 inches wide. So there's a lot going on. But I want to just cover some of the quick results here for the week first. This sale is just finishing up right now, the Weschler sale, and a number of you have inquired about this Amari bowl that was coming up. They had dated it as a Meiji period bowl, and I had asked them for pictures of the back. And one of our regular viewers went to the preview and took pictures of the back of the bowl and sent it to me. And about an hour later, Weschler sent me pictures of the back. So I've gotten duplicate pictures of the backs of this bowl. This was a Edo period bowl. It was probably done during the early part of the 19th century. It wasn't Meiji, and somebody bought it for $250 plus premium. So I hope it was one of you. I know several of you were looking at it, and if you got it, let me know. Let me know if you got this charger. It's not really a bowl; it's a charger. It's like a big shallow bowl, but it was quite large. It was 18 inches in diameter, beautiful, 18 and a half in diameter. It came from a trust in Virginia, and I just thought it was a very, very handsome example. Really, really good looking, nice colors, good underglazed blue decoration, and it was nicely decorated on the back, very nicely decorated. If you run auctions and you have a big charger like this and it's got beautiful decoration front and back, for heaven's sakes, include a picture of the back. This had a very nice decoration, and I think it went for a very, very reasonable price. Oh, if you hear some noise, we're having a thunderstorm here, believe it or not, right now, coming off the water. So there we are. But at any rate, somebody got a great buy on it. And also, if you're looking for some nice Chinese export pieces, check out Potomac. Potomac Auctions in Washington. They've got a couple of sales coming up with some very rare pieces of China trade, including a ruby back plate. If you like ruby backs or you're interested in them, they've got a nice one, and they've given them a very modest estimate of just $1,200 to $1,500 or something. You all know that those bring $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 at times, $10,000. And there's some other pieces in there, some pretty rare pieces, and they all seem to be very reasonably estimated. So that's a sale worth checking out. Potomac Auctions. Open an account there, and you can bid right through their site. They have a really good website, by the way, just so you know. They have a very good website for keeping track of lots you're interested in, and it's a good place to check. All right, and the other thing that was in the sale here at Weschler's was this, and this is a really neat piece of furniture. It's a federal satinwood inlaid made of walnut hunt board, and this was a very nice example, beautifully done. And if you don't know anything about hunt boards, What a hunt board is basically, these were, just as the name implies, they were made so that people coming back from hunting traditionally, when they came back to the house after a morning out hunting or grouse hunting or whatever they were doing, these are like, they work like sideboards, but they're a bit taller typically. They're a little higher than the average sideboard, and they're meant to be stood around and eaten off of like a high top table in a restaurant today, or when you go to parties, they have those high top tables. That's what hunt boards were basically for. And in them, they kept utensils and whatnot that you might need while you were eating. And then they also could double as a sideboard. And they tend not to be as big as a sideboard. That's the only thing. But they're ideal for, a lot of people today live in smaller houses, and this is a very nice server to have. If you have a condo without a lot of floor space, these things are an ideal size, and they're beautifully made. This one was made probably about 1810. They believe it was from Mecklenburg County, Virginia. You will find them much more often in the South than in the North, because there was a bigger hunt community down there, in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, all those places. You'll find hunt boards down there, along with there are other sorts of regional furnitures that they produced a lot of in the South that they rarely did in the North. You don't see New England hunt boards, for example. They were almost non-existent, as far as I know. They made lots of sideboards, which were bigger. But this is fairly, let's see, it's 45 inches tall, so it's got some height to it, and was about 3.5 feet long. So it's not enormous, but it was meant to be a dining thing. I wish they had included more pictures. Westlers, take pictures. You got the piece in front of the camera, turn it on its side, show us the back, show us the bottom, and whatnot. This one was in very nice shape, and it did pretty well. It brought 2,200 plus premium, or around $3,000, which is right in there these days for what these sell for. But it was a very, very attractive piece of furniture. So like I said, antique furniture is wonderful to have. And then the other sale that took place just the other day was the Marco Polo sale in Italy, in Milan, and it did well. They had some buy-ins here and there, because the distance, who knows, the market, the vagaries of the market, but there's been buy-ins everywhere lately. But overall, I think the sale did quite well, and they got some good prices. The things that, it was interesting, some things didn't sell, but the pieces that did sell, which was most of the sale, did sell. I don't want to give the impression that it didn't. It was just a successful auction. But the pieces that did sell did very well. This is the thing, and here's a classic case. It was estimated at 1,000 to 1,500 euros, and this brought 3,600, 30. What was it? 30. I missed it here. 3,200 euros, or about $3,600 plus the premium. Now you have to add the buyer's premium on, so you're up around $4,500 for this. But very handsome pair of Qing planters. I thought these were very, very attractive, relief worked, and they have these neat stands on them. These gilt. I don't know if those are gilt bronze or are they wooden stands. Do they say? On gilded stands, yeah, I think probably bronze. He just said gilded metal. Maybe it's some sort of like a copper alloy or something. But that was a good thing. And the Kangxi vase they had a very nice Rouleau vase, that was estimated at 7 to 10,000, which is, to me, seemed a little bit low when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and it was. It ended up doing very well. With the buyer's premium, it went for about $25,000, but it was a very nice example. And this was a fairly tall vase. It was 46 inches in height, or about 19 inches tall. So it was a fairly tall one. And it looked to be in very good condition. It had very classic exterior landscape decoration. This was a pattern you see on lots of Kangxi pieces. The variations are in the quality. And this one was quite good quality. The cobalt was very good. The potting on it was quite good. It had the double band at the top of the neck, and the rain border and all that business. And it looked like it was a perfectly good example, and went for, as I said, around 19,440 plus premium, or about $26,000 for it. Nice looking porcelain. And then there was this. Now this is interesting. This turquoise vase. I had a number of inquiries from people through the auction inquiry service on bidamount.com for this particular vase. A lot of you liked it, I think, because a lot of you are monochrome collectors. And I told all of you the same thing. So if you're wondering what I told one of the, it was exactly the same thing. And I didn't tell anybody that anybody else was looking at it because it's, that's the confidence end of it. But now that it's over, I can say it because there's no harm can be done. But anyway, what was really interesting about this vase was the glazing on it, the waves of glazing, the dripping of the glazing running down this vase. And one side of it I thought was particularly beautiful, this side. And it reminded me very much, this scene in the middle reminded me very, very much of those traditional Chinese ink paintings of mountains and with the layers and layers of rocks and mountains going up and then going up into the sky. And then you have what looks like a cloud above it parting open with light coming through it, lighting down over it. That's how I looked at it anyway. It was a nice looking vase. And I told all of you it's going to sell for more than the estimate by a good amount. And it ended up going for it was estimated at €200 to €300. It ended up selling for €850 or $972 plus the buyer's premium, of course. So around 1,200, and I think I told everybody roughly eight to 1,200 for it. Anyway, it was a very nice example. It was about 13 inches tall, 13 or so inches in height. Beautiful glaze, and not an expensive thing. This is one of those, and it was either 18th or very early 19th century. These can be very tricky to date. It did have that very fine fish roe glaze on it that you see on started with some Kangxi turquoise examples. And there's a little bit of debate in my head back and forth whether it might be a Kangxi example. I didn't think it was because of how the way the base looked and a few other aspects of it. But I'm not saying it's impossible. But if I had to, put any weight behind what I was saying, I had to go with being a little bit careful about these without handling it. But it's got that very nice this sort of if you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's this very fine crackle that looks like fish eggs that you would find on starting with some Kangxi turquoise monochromes. And this had a very similar glaze. That doesn't mean it can't be reproduced later, but on other examples, because once they learn how to do it, they know how to do it. But it was just a very nice example. That's all. I'm not going to beat it to death, but I like that a lot. And I like this little Buddha a lot too. I brought this up when we were previewing just because I thought it was such a very, very nice example of the laughing Buddha here with the kids. And Buddhas are often depicted with children as a protector of children and sort of a loving figure to young adults. And here he is laughing and very jolly, and he has a great facial expression. I always look at Buddhas. When you look at Buddha, how's the face look? Does he look really happy? And if he looks really happy, he's a good Buddha. That's how I do it anyway. And the kid looks happy, and they're all sort of fat and looking like life is being good. And this was a nice one. Good color stone, good color coral rather, nice even color, very finely carved, and it did very well. It brought what was it, 8,200 US with plus the premium, so about $10,500, $11,000 for this piece of coral. But it was a nice example, and it measured. It was a decent size. It measured about 6 inches in length, so that's a nice hunk of coral. It's a good example. And there were other coral examples in there too. They all did, from what I remember, they all did well. So good on that. All right. So it was a good sale. Go back and go through it, and you get a good sense of what the market is like in Italy and so forth. And we'll see what Carlo comes up with next. He's always out there looking, and I can't imagine the difficulty of running an auction house in Italy because there is a lot of regulation over there and one thing and another. It's sort of like trying to buy in France sometimes. It can be a little difficult, but people get through it. They get through it. But there are little hassles here and there, regulatory hassles. And then over to this. This is the sale of that. Hold on. This is the sale that took place at Ripon Boswell over in Germany. I mentioned they were having a very good carpet sale. Boswell's has been one of the most highly regarded auction houses in the world for many, many years when it comes to rugs and carpets. It's sort of mecca for the rug buyer and the textile buyer, and they get some awfully good things sent to them because of their reputation. They do a lot of scholarship on things. They work with institutions. They're old hands. They've been around for a long time. They had some nice pieces. We're going to go through a few of them. One of them was this very nice Kesey altar surround or door surround with dragons on it. Nice early example, probably 18th century Qing, from what I can tell of it, and got a beautiful, beautiful damask, silk damask back on it with peaches and fruit and precious objects and Shao characters and one thing and another, and it did very well. It brought $6,861 plus the premium. Now they did have a Ningxia mat in yellow and blue that I thought was awfully nice that didn't sell. I just thought of it. So if you've wanted one of those square mats that are very, very well done, the pile looked good on it. It looked like a late 19th century example, and the estimate wasn't that high. It was I think the starting bid was around $400 for it, and for whatever reason it didn't sell. So if you're looking for one, you may be able to buy one post sale from Boswell's if you want to get a hold of them. It may be available post sale. Not every auction house can do it with every lot. Some pieces, if it doesn't sell, the owners say just send it back to me. Other owners will say, yeah, if you can sell it after the sale for a reasonable price, I'll take it. And you might want to look into that. All right. But this did very well. This was a nice thing. And then this was a spectacular Afshire saddlebag. Basically, this was a back for a pack animal, and beautifully done. And it was complete. It's got its back. It's got its closure loops. All these loops go through these little holes here and here and here to seal it up. And these were used, of course, by the nomads when they were moving from one area to another, usually for grazing based on seasonal changes. They would use pairs of these over the backs of animals to carry their belongings. They were highly functional objects, and there was a real art that was put into these. And this is an Afshire bag. It is an extremely unusual pattern with all of these flowers floating in the sky. It's not something you see very often on these. And the colors on this bag looked absolutely wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful colors. And I thought the estimate was very, very reasonable. It was estimated at 900 to 1,200 euros, and it ended up selling for 1,000 euros or around 1,144 euros plus the premium. So around roughly $1,400, $1,500 by the time it's all paid for. This was a gem of an example, and it was probably made in the last quarter of the 19th century. But it doesn't look like it has had much use. The condition of this was just spectacular. It was complete on all of its edges, all the way out. The colors are good. There are no low spots, and you don't see any noticeable chafing or damage to the back on here. This is still very, very much intact. And as I said, it's still got its original closure loops at the top. A very, very, very pretty example. And the other thing that sold is this. This is an Igdir Cheval. And if you've been collecting for any length of time, you notice now that they're using Karadashli and Igdir and all that. These are sub-tribes within the Yomut tribe. The Yomuts were one of the big Turkoman tribes. And the Igdars were from northern Persia, and they joined the Yomut Confederation at some point in their history, and they became part of it. And this is a very nice early 19th or late 18th century bag. I don't know how they dated it in the description, but that's what it looks like to me. How did they date it? Circa 1800. Okay. And it went for 5,700 plus the premium, or about $8,500 or so, 8,000. But it had wonderful colors. But if you do collect, you won't see a lot of these places these days, because the collectors demand it. They want you to sort of say, you can't just say Yomut anymore, which a lot of them used to just say. Now they want to know the tribe, or the tribe within the federation of that tribe, which one they were. So they're sort of getting into the micro elements of identifying them. But anyway, and there are differences. This one is very typical of an Igdir type of a bag, but it's just interesting how the nomenclature, the words change. And then there was this very rare. This they just called the Yomut Asmalik. And this was a very, very rare one. We discussed this a few weeks ago because I thought the estimate was extremely reasonable, 18 to 23,000 euros. It ended up selling for way over that, 28,000 euros plus the premium, so around 35,000 euros all in. So it went about 40% above its high estimate. But this is a very, very, very rare type. You don't see these, as I said, these white ground pieces very often. There are only a handful of them in the world, as a matter of fact. So it's when one turns up, they get a lot of attention. And this is a well-known one. It's been exhibited many, many times. People that collect have seen this bag before, and it seems like a number of people wanted to take a shot to try to buy it, and somebody did. So in U.S. dollars, it worked out to about $40,000 for this bag. And this again is another type of. It's basically a saddlebag front. All right, and then hopping along over to this was a Solar Cheval, and this one did very well also. Again, extremely rare. The lighter magenta color in the middle, I suspect, is probably silk, and this is an early piece of Solar workmanship. And you notice the Solar pieces are, as I said a couple of weeks ago, they're very tight in their design. The patterns are very tight because they're so finely woven. And the Solar tribes were pretty much the most powerful of all the Turkoman tribes. And this was their idea of a shawal. It is 43. Was 43,000 plus the premium in U.S. or around 50. What does it work out about? 56,000, $55,000. But a very, very rare bird. It was estimated at 26 to 30. So it came darn close to doubling its high estimate. But again, they don't turn up often. It's a very rare thing, and this one was in wonderful condition given its age. The pile looks good. I don't see any damage to tears. There looks like there might be a small patch here in the upper right hand corner. That's usually from when they cut the backs off of these. It's too bad they took all the backs off most of them. Occasionally you'll see one with a complete back, but this one was very nicely done. Beautiful example. That's what the back of it looks like. They're so finely woven. You can the knots are tiny, and it did very, very well. And then hopping along over to okay, into here. This is the Stair Gallery sale that's coming up. As I said, I did actually covered this also over on the Patreon viewers this week. We talked a bit about this sale also. It's 3 days. It starts on the 17th of June. It runs on the 18th and the 19th. So 3 days, 17th, 18th, and 19th of this month. And it's a collection of a lady named Carol Harris. Apparently, she was an active buyer. I never heard of her, but apparently she was a busy lady buying very good antiques, and she bought some really nice Chinese pieces. And we're going to go through some of them and talk about what it is she got. And I'm going to emphasize this piece right here. This is an extremely rare Chinese export tea caddy in porcelain. It was made during the late 18th century, and I happen to over the years I've had these. The last one I had was probably 10 or 12 years ago. And as I said on the Patreon video, when it became known that I had it, a lot of people wanted this box. This is an extremely valuable, extremely rare type. And if you're thinking to yourself you've never seen one, that's because they're very, very rare. And this is a stellar example. It's still got its original metal, lock plate. It's got the original handles on it. And when you open these, they're divided up into three different sections for the different teas you might have. And this was a very elegant thing, and they were made in very limited quantities, really just for very, very rich people. The only people could afford this. This is a true luxury item, and it looks to be in great condition. And it's estimated for nothing. It's only estimated $1,000 to $1,500. Expect it to bring, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000. That's what it should bring. That's what it should bring. I think the one that we had, we sold we sold it to a dealer, I think for 8 or 9,000, as I recall. But and he sold it to somebody else. And here's another one. This is not the one we had. It's very similar though, but not quite the same. And a beautiful, beautiful example. And $500 opening bid, and apparently nothing of a reserve to talk about. And then over to this really nice Chinese export black lacquer and parcel gilt cabinet on a later stand. This is a heck of a piece of furniture. I like it a great deal. Here it is, and the stand. If the stand is later, it's a late 19th century stand from what I can see. But the box itself is wonderful. It's a beautiful shape, and it opens up, and this is the interior. There's some crackle in the lacquer that you'll see, which is a good sign. It means it is an old one. And it's very common that the drawer fronts on these crackle up a bit. And here you see it down in here and in here. Very, very typical. And then let's see, what's the estimate? It's estimated at $1,000 to $1,500, which is, I think, very reasonable. It should go for more than that, but you don't know. And if you like Chinese lacquer, there are a bunch of Chinese lacquer tables and stands in this sale. So do check it out. All right. And then hopping along over to this is this Japanese silver centerpiece bowl. This is a huge bowl. And they're saying it's Japanese. It looks kind of Chinese to me, but the mark on the bottom definitely looks Japanese. I have to say that. And it was sold by Butterfield and Butterfield in San Francisco in 1990. And if you don't know who Butterfield and Butterfield was, they were the Bonhams. They were bought by Bonhams when they set up their San Francisco office way back in the late 90s, I guess it was at this point. And Bonhams and Bonhams was a funny company. Just as an aside, because of security and they're moving very high value items, they were a good auction house. Their furniture truck that they used to do on house calls said Acme Mattress Company. That was the sign on the side of the truck, so that nobody would be likely to steal it, because what are you going to do with it? There's not a lot of value in mattresses. So their truck would say Acme Mattress Company, and people would wonder why a mattress truck is parked outside of a house for days on end. Well, they're loading up for an auction. But at any rate, this is a big bowl. It is 19 3/4 inches in diameter, according to the description. So about 20 inches wide. It's a very, very big piece. There we go. And very nicely detailed. The flowers look they do look very Japanese the more I look at it, but wonderful stippling on the ground, and it's pretty heavy. It weighs 313 ounces, I think they said in the description, something like that. 312 ounces approximately. So it's a very heavy piece of silver. The base is detached for some reason, the solder let go, but don't let that bother you. Any silversmith can put 2 drops of silver solid on here and reattach that foot. It doesn't make a bit of difference. Bases on these often fall off, especially if they're big, heavy ones like this. All right, so keep that in mind. And then this was the other back over to the Rip and Boswell sale. I wanted to show you this. This was one of my favorite things. This is, again, a Yamut piece with cap skulls on it. And I just wanted to, I had set this up just because I personally I like this a lot, and I like the Afsharp piece a lot in particular, but I love the pattern on this. The colors were great. It's a nice early one, right around probably the middle of the 19th century, 1850 or so. They're dating it first half of the 19th century. Okay, so it's even older than that. It's 1820, 1830. A little bit old. I thought it was around 1850. But it's a beautiful piece, and it ended up going for $1,600 plus premium, or about $3,200. But a very, very nice example for sure. And then there's this, the large Chinese rootwood scroll pot. This is an interesting thing, and it's very large. Scroll pots are big. They like brush pots, but they're just much bigger. And this one is made of a beautiful piece of burl root or burl wood from the base of a tree. Wonderful, wonderful patterning, and it looks like an old one. The surface looks good on it. It's probably a 19th century example, but regardless, it's very sculptural and large. These are just different angles of it. And if you've wanted a scroll pot, this is a pretty good one, I think. It measures 16 by 17 by 14. So it's about the height of a low table. And wonderfully done example. And then what else is coming up? Oh, this is the Freeman sale. This is the Hindman Freeman sale that's coming up on the 28th of this month. The 20, let's see here, the 26th, excuse me, not the 28th, the 26th. Some very nice examples in here. They got some early pottery, and I pulled a few pieces out. I'm going to go through it a little bit more next week. It just came up. Ben got a hold of me and said the sale was going up if I wanted to take a look, and I said absolutely. And here's a few of the lots that caught my eye. One of them is this, if you like export wares. This is a big punch bowl, 16.5 inches, and it's done in what they call the bird and flower punch bowl, bird and flower decoration. It's very, very similar, and often it gets referred to as these sort of quasi tobacco leaf, pseudo tobacco leaf bowls are patterned very similarly to this. And it's got the two pheasants on it, and then these wonderful blooming flowers, a balustrade at the bottom, and so forth. It's in good shape. They blacklit it. It has had no repairs to it. It does have an old star crack in the bottom, which is very typical with these big bowls. But the quality of the decoration on this bowl really looks quite excellent and not worn. The enamels all look very, very good on it. And it's a good Chinlung example, probably made around 1760 to 1775, somewhere in there. Estimated at $1,500 to $2,000. $750 opening bid. That seems reasonable. That's right about where it should be. It's a good sale. And then there are these. If you collect Kangxi porcelains, you're going to recognize these right away. These Astor pattern plates, very popular pattern. A lot of people just collect this pattern. And whoever can sign this apparently was one of those people, because there are three, I think, a total of 3 lots with numerous pieces in it in this pattern. And as you know, each one of these Astor pattern dishes typically sell for somewhere between $400 and $550 a piece. And here you've got 6 of them, plus a jar, plus 2 bowls. One of them is a molded bowl. The one on the left has a molded lotus pattern around it, and then with the asters in between. And this one is the next one next to it. It's not a pair. Is an all just pure asters all the way up the side of the bowl. And then you have this big piece here, and I can't tell if that had a cover or not. It looks like it might have. Maybe it didn't. You want to check that out. But there's another one on the right with a cover. All right, and the whole lot is estimated at $2,000 to $3,000, which is right in the ballpark. $1,000 opening bid, more than reasonable. All right, and this is the kind of thing, if you're a dealer and you like the Astor pattern, you buy it, keep the pieces that you like out of it, and sell the rest and get most of your money back. It's usually how that works. It's a great way to collect too. All right, and then over to this. This is a very nice lot. Now, Kangxi wears a couple of shape-rimmed bowls with their matching undertrays, and this very nice double wall reticulated blue and underglazed blue and white cup. Very, very nicely done. Very neat decoration on it, and they provided a lot of photographs. Here are the bottoms. The Femiver examples, the Wutsai examples, have rabbits on the bottoms. And this one, the wall cup has a lingbai, a fungi on the bottom, these are all typical symbols that you see on Kangxi wares, as you all know, and estimated at $800 to $1,200. I think that's very reasonable for this lot. This is a very attractive lot. The colors all look good. The condition looks good. And they've got the history of it here. It was bought in 1986 in the 2 saucers and with typed labels from Blenheim Palace. There you go. And they get a little provenance with them. Anyway, that's a nice lot. And then these are the zodiac figures, and these caught my eye because they have marbleized. They're marbleized pottery. Marbleized pottery became very popular, in particular during the Ming Dynasty, and they continued it into the Qing. And he dated these as 18th century or earlier, and I know why he did that, because there's a very good chance these are Ming, but he didn't want to just say it, because you get into arguments about whether it's late Ming or early Qing. But the backs of these, the marbling is very noticeable. And these are large. These are not 5 or 6 inches tall. These are each almost 15 inches tall each. These are big pieces of pottery, and I think they're awfully nicely done. I'd love to see a picture of the bottom of them, see how they molded them up inside. It should be open on the bottom, and you can see how they press the clay in. But the details are really quite excellent on it. And of course, the zodiac figures, the famous zodiac fountain at the Yuan Ming Yuan with the bronze heads that fed the fountain in front of the French chateau type building they built at the Summer Palace. and the big debate about the Zodiac figures because the heads were looted by the British when they went in and robbed the place, and the French took some too. And they're slowly getting them back. I hope they get them all back for their for their own collections in China, back hopefully to the government museum. They're absolutely amazing. The last one they got back from Pierre Berge, the French partner of Yves Saint Laurent, who had one. And there was that famous, I don't know if you know the story, but there was one from their collection that came up for sale at Christie's in Paris. And a Chinese bidder came representing the government secretly, and he ran the price up to 35 or 40 million US dollars, and then walked out of the room and wouldn't pay for them. And basically, it was the Chinese government saying, we want these back. And Christie's was threatened with not being able to do business, to do auctions or anything inside China. They were if they didn't do something about this. And the owner of Christie's, who also owned Yves Saint Laurent, they worked out a deal where he bought them from Pierre Berge and donated them to China, and to reopen their ability to do business there. And that's really what it was. It was a business deal, and they got the fountainhead back. But at any rate, back to the Zodiac figures. That's why I find anything to do with Zodiac figures really interesting, because the heads, those bronze heads, have been so much in the news. At any rate, this is a big set of figures. They're beautifully done. 2,000 to 3,000 estimate for all of them. I think that's going to be blown out of the water. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for anywhere close to that. That's a steal, because each one of these figures at 15 inches, or what, we get the height again here, hold on, 14 and a half inches tall each. I would think each one of them would be worth somewhere between $800 to $1,000 minimum. So you got triple that estimate, basically possible. We'll see. But if you like big pieces of pottery and you want a set of these, I think they're really cool, and you don't see them very often. All right, and then over to this. This is sort of a neat thing, a Chinese carved stone phoenix seal. It's beautifully carved, and it's let's see here, what is it saying? Ding Chao year, Ding Zhou year. That's year of the ox, I believe. And there it is, and it's based on the cycle calendar of China, which is 60-year cycles. And so you have to sort of roll back to when the last was in the go back 60 and then 60 more and 60 more to try to figure out when this thing was made. To me, it looks like a late 18th or early 19th century piece at the latest. This looks like a nice old carving, based on the surface that's available here. The estimate is very reasonable, 8 to 1,200 with a $400 opening bid. Very nice example. Absolutely. So check out the Freeman sale. It looks like a good auction. We'll talk about it more next week. I'll try to put together something on it, because there's some nifty lots in here, and you want to take part. They do a good job there. All right. And what else is going on? The Korean Goryeo small celadon bowl. This is coming up in a couple of days on the 12th at Millet Brothers. And there was some discussion, and I got some email from some people, and they were wondering if it's a really old one, and why would the woman that owned this, why would something from her collection it was Mary Griggs Burke collection. She was a famous collector in New York, heavy in Japanese stuff. She owned some Korean things. And there was some questions raised about whether or not the provenance was true on this. And I got a hold of Millet Brothers, and I asked them. And they responded right away, and they sent me a copy of the deaccession paperwork, and where it had been acquired, all the information. So it is absolutely legitimate. The workmanship is very, very good. The carving is excellent on it. It's very much like one that was published in, was it Clarity of Water? That famous Korean celadon book. There's a bowl with a nearly identical pattern on it and the similar quality glaze. So and I've never known Malay Brothers to be misleading on anything ever, and I've done business with them over the years, and so I'm going to take them at their word. And the paperwork, the thing they emailed me, looked completely legitimate. So there you go. And this had been in a sale before, and never, for some reason, didn't get paid for. I don't know what happened. They told me that in the email. It shouldn't matter. Don't ever let a buy-in scare you from buying something the second time it comes up. That's a really dumb rookie. That's a rookie move. If you liked it the first time, you should like it the second time too. And sometimes people just don't pay their bills because they run out of money. They had a fight with their wife, and they not want to spend $5,000 or $10,000. But this is a very, very good piece of Korean celadon-ware, in my opinion. I think it's very nice. All right, and then over here, Sunburst. These are the book dealers. These are the folks out in California that get these sort of interesting auctions of books and catalogs. And this sale is coming up in just a couple of days. I think it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So if you haven't looked at it yet, check it out. It's on the global pages. All of these pieces we've talked about are already on the global member pages. So if you belong through BitAmount or you use it through Patreon, you can get to the pages from there and you can go through them. And there's some very nice books in here. And they have some Marchant exhibition catalogs. And if you want to get those, they have the Imperial Enamel set here on the upper left. That set usually goes for $1,000 to $1,500 minimum. There's another copy of the Yamanaka book in here. There's the He Li book on Chinese ceramics. That was one they've done revisions of it since, but that's still a very, very good reference book. There's the Rose Kerr book on the Sung Dynasty ceramics is in here. Buy books, okay? I keep saying it. If you really want to learn, also there's a very good book on Chinese ivories, Chinese Scholar Studio, Life in the Late Ming Period. I have all these books. That's a very good book, the one on the Scholar Studios. Estimated at 50 to 70 with a $10 opening bid. All of these are pretty much no-brainers. And remember, this is also a very rare set. I have this set too. The Ip Yi collection of bamboo. This is a very, very good set of books, and it'll sell probably for a good amount of money. I think the last set we saw go through had around brought about $1,300, but it's an excellent set of books. But I urge people. I'm just telling you, go through here. The bamboo carvings of China. This one, I have that book too. There's a lot of familiar faces in here. Go through this and pick out books in areas of your own interest. There's 9 pages. There's 400 books on this sale, something like that. Let me find out how many there are exactly. 387, more than 400. 420 books. And there's some very, very good standard references. There's that Yamanaka catalog. Silk and Stone is a good book. I have that. These are all very, very good books. And if you're going to get into collecting, you better buy some books. So you're going to end up with a closet full of reproductions. It's just, you can't rely on photographs and information off the internet. Most Google searches, when you do item searches, return pictures of copies. Most of the time, it's just copies they bring back, unless you're very, very good at writing a good search. And then you have to double check and triple check. So just keep that in mind. I don't mean to lecture. Any rate, move over to this. This is the Rob Michael sale. He's got 2 days worth of sales coming up on the 19th and the 20th over in Bruges. Nice looking sales, and it's interesting. He sort of mixed them with the first one is Asian, European, and Islamic arts. It's a little bit of everything, and the next one is Asian and European arts. And there's some awful nice pieces in here. There's some very good armorial pieces. You want to go through and check out the armorial wares. I think those are mostly on the second day. But there's also some very nice Famille Rose examples. There's a nice net of 7 Chinese Famille Rose nesting bowls. We've all seen these before. They usually do very, very well in sales. I think we saw a set of them a few weeks ago bring $4,000 or $5,000. They have some these porcelain Buddhas that everybody loves to own. They're reasonably estimated, 8 to 1,200, 5 to 1,000. That's the range for them. And there's a wedding lantern here, all kinds of pieces, plaques and whatnot. Get condition reports and do all that. Lots of pairs of vases and jars. some good Kangxi pieces and so forth. And then hop over to here, transitional wares. There's a lot of good monochromes in this sale. Some very nice ones, some Clair de Lune pieces, some sacrificial blue pieces, some flambe glazes, some Lang Yao glazes, some peach bloom glazes. They've got them all. They really put together a load in this sale. I have to say, and then all the other some miniature tea dust vases. There's a nice looking Yuan multi-spout pot on here in Celadon that's authentic. There. Oh, I did save it. Okay, I was hoping I saved it. This is. I think this looks very legitimate. This is a nice looking thing in an unusual form. Unusual form. Now they did make these in the 18th century too, but I don't think this is an 18th century example, judging by the color of the glaze, and when you and when you flip it over the bottom of it, the appearance of this paste and how the base looks underneath. It looks like it is a Yuan example. It's got an old sticker on it. Looks all legit. It's only estimated at $500 to $1,000 for some reason. I don't know why that is. I would think it would be higher than that, but it's not huge. It's only about 4 or 5 inches tall, so it's fairly small. But I think a really nice example. I think that's a terrific thing, and it may fly under the radar. It may go under the radar with that estimate. Sometimes people misunderstand estimates and they think it means that the auction house thinks it's not worth much. I think that's a very good piece. And then there's some awfully nice armorial pieces in here. This is one for the English market of Go Impaling Hide. Very good condition, underglazed blue. Looks fine. The enameling and all of the decoration is in good shape. The gold is in good shape there overall. And a nice looking example. There's a bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of armorial pieces in this auction, so do check them all out. And as I said, this sale's on the 19th and was it the 9th? I want to get the dates right. 19th and the 20th. Double check. Let's see here. Does it even say? 19th and the 20th. There you go. And the Freeman Hindman sale is on the 26th. And the Malay Brothers sale is tomorrow, as is Sunburst Auctions. So there's a lot going on, and I think there's going to be some other auctions popping up that we're going to want to talk about, and all of that. So there we are. All right. Thank you for watching, and have a great weekend, and good luck out there. Let me know if you got anything. Let me know if you got anything in any of these sales. I love to see get emails from people, and they send me pictures of things that they bought, and you know what they thought of them. And people, it's always fun to hear from people that have added to a collection. It's always good news. All right, have a great weekend. See you next week, and thanks so much for watching. And subscribe if you haven't so far. We do appreciate you. All right, bye bye.